Hey everybody, welcome to D4 slash D&D Shorts. How's it going? Big thanks to Will from D&D Shorts for joining me. This is part 2 of a breakdown of the latest Unearthed Arcana for the next edition of D&D slash One D&D slash it's not actually a new edition. Part 1, check it here, over here. It's on Will's channel. And I'm sure most of you know Will already, but just in case you don't, Will, why don't you introduce yourself to my viewers?
Yeah, I'm Will. My channel's called D&D Shorts. It's sort of a very light-hearted YouTube channel about D&D. It's got similar stuff to Colby sometimes, and then kind of I talk about D&D stuff, basically, in short and long-form content. And yeah, as always, dude, it's always surreal to be talking to you when you get to talk to sort of like a hero as someone who's really inspiring. So it's just great to be here, and I'm excited to keep going with the with the classes that we're looking at, the new classes. So
for the record, you say you do short and long form content. It's all short form content.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, by comparison, yeah, it's all.
The first time I did a short, a video that I called a short was I think it was 30 minutes long. And people were like, "What? Who is this guy? This is not a short."
The longest video I've ever done is the last video we did of these.
Yeah,
by such a long way.
By a mile, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so here's how it's going to work. In part 1, we went over the first 3 new classes, or at least changes to the classes, right, for this UA. The Bard, the Cleric, and the Druid. There is a Monk, but we're not going to talk about it in either of these videos because Will is going to be recording a separate video on that as soon as we're done here today recording. So it's probably already on his channel, or if it's not, it will be very soon. Make sure you go and watch that. I probably am not going to have time, as bad as I would love to do a whole video on the Monk myself, because as many of you know, they are my favorite subclass, my favorite class in the game, conceptually at least. And I'm super excited to see what Wizards has done. I'm a little nervous that they didn't do enough to make them, to bring them up to snuff, but we'll see. Anyway, so instead, for this video, then we're just going to do the Paladin, the Rogue, and the Ranger, and we'll wrap. And with any luck, we'll get it under 90 minutes.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We're going to just be talking about, we're going to try and kind of keep it fairly high level, focusing really on the gray text that you see on the screen. That's where they talk mostly about, that's where they talk about all of the major changes. So we're not going to be going through line by line. It's a 77-page document. And in case you didn't know, yes, I'm on vacation. I'm not in my usual place. The room here, I appreciate, is a little echoey. I've just kind of locked myself in a closet. We don't have AC, so I have to keep the window open or else I will melt alive. And it's a very noisy street that's running out there. So I apologize if you hear lots of loud cars and sirens and motorcycles and things. Anyway, that's all.
Nice. Yeah.
So let's jump in. Let's jump into the Paladin. You ready to go?
Yeah. Shall I take the first gray box?
Yes, please.
Okay. So main new differences. Lay on Hands is a bonus action, which is fun. Let's talk about that in a sec. Spellcasting has noteworthy changes. Spell preparation is no longer tied to the level of your spell slots. That's across all spellcasting classes have had that feature. The Paladin can change 1 prepared spell upon finishing a long rest. Fair enough, yeah. And cantrips are no longer included. The Paladin instead gets weapon mastery at first level. So that's Paladins don't get cantrips in the current version of the game anyway.
Right,
yeah, right. So they must have added that and taken it back out. But they get weapon mastery now. Sure. I'd rather a cantrip, but maybe they'll make weapon mastery even better.
No, I think I'd rather have a weapon mastery. I love the weapon masteries. Yeah, I love them.
I like them too. I want them to go more. I don't know. Just give me that guidance. You know what I mean? Although they made guidance a lot worse. So,
right. So
yeah. So it's not so clear cut anymore. Then you have Paladin Smite, formerly called Divine Smite. Now gives you a list of Paladin exclusive Smite spells. So that's a big difference.
So probably like I'm guessing all of that thunderous smite and wrathful smite and all that stuff.
So either those will be changed to be like reaction spells, maybe to work like Divine Smite was, or maybe that whole use a reaction to deal extra damage. Oh, it's not even a reaction, is it? You just choose to deal it on a hit.
Well, previously those smite spells were a bonus action to cast, and they required concentration.
Yeah.
So they didn't get a lot of use, right? So,
yes, they weren't good.
If they can make them a little more user friendly, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see. If they're not here, we might have to jump down to the spells at the bottom and jump back up. But yeah, Channel Divinity has a new rule in the multiclassing sidebar. We covered that with
clerics. Yeah.
Paladin subclass levels now match the progression in the 2014 Paladin. That's fair. Aura of Protection is returned to 6th level, which is a great feature. I like that Aura of Protection, so happy with that.
Yes.
It doesn't work if you're incapacitated, but that's fine.
Right.
Abjure Foes now does nothing on a successful save. I'll have to remind myself what that does when we get there.
Yeah, I think that might have been a UA thing from the last UA with Paladins.
Yeah, it must have been. And then Aura of Courage is back at 10th level. Radiance Strikes now works with melee weapons and unarmed strikes. So I think that adds a little extra radiant damage when you hit stuff.
Still hard to make a ranged paladin, probably, it sounds like. But anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you're right. And then Restoring Touch has moved to 14th level, and Divine Conduit has been removed in favor of Aura Expansion returning to at 18th level. So looks like on the surface they've once again they've moved stuff closer in line to what it used to be.
Right. Right. Or currently is, anyway.
Yeah, where it currently is, I should say. Which is, always like... Okay, here's... I don't want to get bogged down right away, but here's the thing. Are they listening a bit too closely to crotchety old D&D players who hate change?
I think they might. I mean, I had a soapbox moment in part 1 about, talking about not loving the focus on backwards compatibility and things. And so, I don't need to rehash it here. But yeah, I do kind of feel like, be a little more bold. Personal preference, even though, again, it's probably better for my channel for the backwards compatibility. But
they really must feel like they can't win. If every time they try something new, everyone punches them down. It's like, oh, we hate the new druid. And then, oh, we hate the new warlock. Even though I loved the new barbarian, right? So it's not like we're always punching on them. But and then the second they're like, okay, you like the current stuff? We'll make it more in line with the current stuff. And everyone's like, well, that's a bit cowardly, isn't it? We just gave up. We thought you were gonna fight a bit, They must really feel like they can't win. That's not, But I agree with you, man. I do agree with you that this feels very similar to the current Paladin. I mean, it's at that point, why buy the new book, right? That's what you got to wonder. So, anyway, let's move on. So it looks like the main new thing is the so obviously lay on hands is a bonus action now.
Right. You got weapon masteries. The smites are probably a pretty big deal.
The big
and
thing.
And then abjure foes, we might need to remind ourselves what those are. But okay, so let's see. Let's go down to we know lay on hands. We'll get into the spell. Should we jump down to the spells now?
Yeah, let's look at the spells now, because obviously
let's read this. You've mastered smiting your targets with divine energy. You always have certain spells ready when you reach paladin level specified in the smite spells table. You thereafter always have this listed spells prepared. In addition, you can cast one of your prepared spells from this feature without expending a spell slot. Okay, once per long rest. Anyway, you get a free smite. Okay, so and divine smite, thunderous smite.
Yeah.
Shining smite, blinding smite, staggering smite, banishing smite. Okay, we better take a look at those just to see if there's any major. You know what? I'm gonna go to. Oh boy.
Banishing smite, I guess, would be the first one. Yeah.
Smite. Oh, you don't want to let me have. Okay, sorry.
Both.
Just in case you guys didn't know. I'm not doing any editing on these, so
it's all right.
I don't have time.
No, so I think it's below the rogue. Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Turning on the mic and letting it go.
That's just
here's the list. So let's see if we get explanations. Spell
Here it is.
descriptions. Smite spells now work with melee weapons and unarmed strikes, not ranged weapons. So yeah, no more ranged weapons, smites. And only 2 of the spells, Searing Smite and Wrathful Smite, are on the Divine Spell list. The rest of them are Paladin exclusive spells. Okay. Banishing Smite once again requires concentration, but it allows only 1 saving throw, not 1 at the end of each of the target's turns. Now that's a 17th level feature, so whatever. Excuse me. Blinding Smite has no initial saving throw, meaning the target is blinded automatically, but the target can end the effect with subsequent saves. Okay, school is now evocation rather than transmutation. And then Divine Smite's new Paladin exclusive spell, designed to unify the Smite family of effects. Before they were all spells except Divine Smite. Now they're all spells, making it easier to figure out how to use these effects from turn to turn. Searing Smite deals its ongoing damage before the saving throw is made. It doesn't require concentration. Thank you. Shining Smite, formerly Glittering Smite, now prevents the target from benefiting from the invisible condition. Okay. Thunderous Smite is once again an evocation spell. Wrathful Smite no longer requires concentration. Okay, so yeah, not requiring concentration is great, and actually makes these a lot more usable. Still,
only some of them though. I mean, if you hop up slightly, you can see the full description of Banishing Smite.
But now this one requires concentration because it can potentially have this ongoing effect where they're like banished, right?
You hold concentration to keep them banished. But what I like about this, sorry, if you scroll up again slightly, is if it's a bonus action which you take immediately after hitting a creature.
Sure, but it's still like, man, I mean, for anybody with a weaponized bonus action that they're wanting to take advantage of all of the time, like now you have to choose, do you want to make another weapon attack or do you want to smite? It's bad enough that we can't smite more than once on a turn. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing, but just, speaking about nerfs versus buffs, right? We're getting, Paladins are getting a nerf here in that, you can only do this once on a turn. Okay, fine. But then now you got to give up your bonus action too, every single time you want to smite.
I think the upside is that these spells might be worse than regular Divine Smite, but they're better now. Because before you had to bonus action, hold concentration, and then hope you hit.
Yep.
And if you don't hit,
and meanwhile you can't be concentrating on bless or something else.
Yes, right? That is a really good point. Yeah. Whereas now most of them aren't concentration. So
you're concentrating on bless and you throw down a blinding smite. And to be fair, it does more than just damage, right? So blinding smite, no concentration required, but as you hit the target, your strike flares with light. The target hit by the strike takes an extra 3d8 radiant damage, and they're blinded until the spell ends, right? And you don't have to concentrate on it. So maybe I need to qualify my grumpy old man mentality here. I mean, there's definitely, something there to be like, okay, like I'm doing damage and I'm, debuffing them in some way. It doesn't require concentration. I can only do it once per turn. So there's no like action surge. And now I'm smiting 5 times in a round because I have Polearm Master and Great Weapon Master, and I did 100 damage, at level 5 or whatever. So maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, there's kind of some give and take. Okay, and I like that it's interesting in that you got to choose. Do you want to spend a higher level spell to do a little more damage and now a condition, and is blinded good on this target, or does that not really matter? Would you rather, be doing some other kind of smite? Like it provides choices that are interesting, and I'm always a fan of that, I suppose.
I agree. And also it's worth noting that because the smite damage is coming from a separate spell, it won't be doubled by a crit, I'm pretty sure, is the ruling intention there. So even if you crit someone, then you use a bonus action to cast a spell and it deals 3d8 damage. So that's something they really did not like. They made that very clear. Yeah. They didn't like the swinginess of someone potentially busting out, so like 12d8 additional damage whenever they crit. So
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely scaled back, but still provides some interesting choices. I still really struggle with the bonus action to cast thing, because it's like, man, now smiting is like even potentially more painful. Definitely just this plain old divine smite, which is a first level spell. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's just it requires a bonus action, you know. It's like if I don't have another good use of my bonus action, sure. But and then again, it can't crit, so it's not like wait to see if you get a crit. All right, add a smite and double it, and yeah. I mean, I don't know that was necessarily great for the game, and so I'm not super upset that they're taking that away. But I don't know. I have mixed feelings for sure.
Okay, no, I think it's an interesting space. This is something that I'd like to play around with, but I can imagine that by making the straight up divine smite a little bit worse, it kind of gives you a reason to play around with the other smites, which kind of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Blinding smite seems like it could be quite fun. Blinded is not. It's not a joke as a condition.
No. I mean, and no concentration, and now they have disadvantage on all of their attacks, and you have advantage on all of your attacks. I mean, that's potent, no question, and could very well be worth spending a bonus action for. You know, it's become maybe a little bit more of a like a burst damage tool, which it basically was before, and turned it into something that's like, okay, burst damage and something else to make now things a little more interesting. Like now I'm thinking about smite not as I want to get as many attacks as I can, bump my crit chance as high as I can, and just kaboom. And it's more like, okay, I'm gonna do blinding smite at the beginning at the beginning on round 1, and now I'm gonna have advantage for the rest of my turns, right? That's going to be a bump to my sustained DPR. I can still concentrate on a different spell if I want to, and smite just becomes kind of a once in a while thing to set up something more powerful, as opposed to just a tool that you pull out when you crit to do 1 billion damage.
Yeah, I completely agree. It pushes paladins away from sort of 2-weapon fighting and things like that. But I'm okay with this. If this made it into the final thing, I wouldn't be devastated, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the main difference, right? Let's have a look at this. Abjure foes. Yeah, Abjure foes is the other new thing.
I love that they get weapon mastery. I'm so happy about that. Okay, we've talked about smite. Oh, I need to get rid of.
Got it. There it is. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Channel Divinity, we're familiar with. Subclasses, blah, blah, blah. Where did Abjure Foes go? Oh, yeah, Faithful Steed. They kind of talked about bringing this in. You always have Find Steed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so it's fine.
Yeah.
There it is.
Here we go.
Abjure Foes.
Yeah.
Do you want to take this one? Oh, no, I'll take it. Okay, yeah. As a magic action, you can expend 1 use of your Channel Divinity to overwhelm foes with Divine Awe. You present your holy symbol or weapon, target a number of creatures equal to your charisma modifier that you can see within 60 feet of you. Each target must make a wisdom saving throw or be dazed and frightened for 1 minute or until they take any damage.
Wow.
Pretty good. Yeah. I can't remember. The dazed condition is, it gives them like a negative to a hit.
Yeah,
I'll look it up on my one so we don't need to disrupt.
Sure.
I'll read it aloud.
It's a new debuff, but dazed and frightened for 1 minute or until they take damage, but they don't get to save again afterwards. So that can potentially be
true.
Really strong. Like, it's like as long as you're playing tactically and it's like, hey, let's all focus fire now on this guy. Leave everybody else dazed and frightened. Okay, that one's dead. Switch targets to this one, etc. Those guys can't move closer to us now because it's frightened. And what does dazed do?
And it's you can only move or take 1 action on your turn, not both. And you can't take any bonus actions or reactions.
That's awesome.
So it's it's all a bit like Tasha's Mind Whip.
I mean, you couple that with frightened, where they can't move closer.
They can't move towards you. If you can daze a melee creature you know, like a bear. If you're fighting it, I mean, this is level 9, so not a bear, but you know, you daze something that wants to be up close, and if you can move back, then you've basically taken it out of commission. It can't move towards you because it's frightened, and it can't use its action for anything good because it's too far away to get you. It can't get you.
That's nice.
Yeah, pretty nice bit of control for a paladin. I like to see it, you know.
Radiant strikes is the same as
extra
improved. Restoring touch. When you lay on hands, you can remove blinded, charmed, dazed, deafened, frightened, paralyzed, or stunned. Oh, that's a nice list. 5 points to do it. And they don't also restore hit points, right? Okay, cool. So it's like kind of it's an improved version of what they had before. They could just remove, what was it, disease or poison?
Yeah, I think it was just disease and poison at the base level. So this is just buffed.
Some additional, okay, anything else? Your aura expansion. I wish that they would give us incremental aura expansion as we went, instead of 10 feet forever, and then at the point where nobody's ever playing the game anymore, 30 feet.
It's just 30 at the end.
You know what I mean? It's like, give me 5 more feet every 3 levels or whatever. But
yeah, anyway. You're right. Actually, that would certainly be better, right? Because you're completely right. It's 10 for the entire game, and then by this
incentive for me to keep taking levels in Paladin, instead of get to 6 and then bounce.
Yes, and that is what most paladins do. They get to 6 or 7, and then you bounce off, because beyond 7, there's not too much worth sticking around in paladin for, really.
Yeah.
But you love that plus to saving throws for everyone is juicy. It's so juicy. That you want to hit that. You want to get your extra attack, and then you take an extra one, and then you can leave it, and you can go to. You put the rest in warlock or whatever you
sorcerer. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would solve the problem. If they're listening, if someone there's listening, that's a great idea.
Please give us incremental increases to our auras. Okay, their capstone is now in the subclass, as opposed to the other classes that we've been reading so far. They've got a 20th level just base class.
Yeah, so Paladins will get a different one.
Okay, we've got stuff on breaking oaths here. A paladin who has broken a vow typically seeks absolution from a priest. Maybe this isn't very new. If they willingly violate their oath, at the DM's discretion. Okay, this is just kind of some flavor stuff. Oath of Devotion. All right, let's talk about the Oath of Devotion updates. So the main updates, they've got a revised list of spells. Smite of Protection. Ooh.
That sounds
I'm interested if every paladin subclass gets a new smite. That's cool, but it's 15th level, so very few of us will see it. Cool. But Smite of Protection's moved to 15th level. In addition, it now works with all your paladin smite spells, and it provides half cover to you and your allies in your armor protection. Wow, that's cool. Might have to take a closer look at that.
Yeah, take a look at that. Yeah.
Holy Nimbus now provides advantage on saving throws against effects from fiends and undead. Okay, so. Sacred Weapon.
Pretty standard spells.
Similar, but Smite of Protection. Why don't you read that for us?
So, 15th level, your magical smites now radiate protective energy. Whenever you cast any of your paladin smite spells, you and your allies in the aura of protection have half cover, so that's just +2 AC.
Yeah, I guess
until the start of your next turn.
Kind of what they said in the gray box. I just thought maybe there was more.
Yeah, I thought there might be more to it. Okay.
That's
well,
I mean, that's
+2
nice.
AC is decent, right? Like there's a when you're 2 AC, the difference between a hit and a miss is huge, right?
Yeah.
So +2 AC is roughly maybe like a 10% chance of missing compared to before. Right. So that's pretty great.
And then their capstone, Holy Nimbus. As a bonus action, you can imbue your aura of protection with holy power, granting the following benefits for 1 minute or until you end them. Holy Ward, you have advantage. Okay, all of the following benefits. You have advantage on any saving throw you are forced to make by a fiend or an undead. Okay, that's pretty specific. Whenever an enemy starts its turn in the area, they take radiant damage, and that's, again, at this point, that's a 30-foot aura equal to your proficiency bonus, plus your charisma modifier. So that's potentially 11 damage, no 11? Save, just 11 radiant damage every turn. That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Sunlight. The aura is filled with bright light. That is sunlight. Okay. Only once per long rest.
It's okay. I think it's one of the weaker paladin capstones, though, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then you have tenants. Well, anyway, we won't get into those.
Yeah, just flavor stuff.
It's good. And I like that. Don't get me wrong, but we don't have time to talk about it.
Okay, we got the Oath of Glory changes. So Inspiring Smite no longer requires a bonus action, works with all the spells. So I think you're right. Each of them will probably get some kind of feature that works with all their smite spells.
And this Inspiring Smite no longer requires a bonus action, but works with all. Oh, okay, never mind. Because you're using your bonus action to smite. So all of them will presumably get that feature. And then you get the an hour for Peerless Athlete rather than 10 minutes, and Aura of Alacrity now enhances Aura of Protection, which so it improves your current aura. Yeah, which means it'll grow to 30. It looks like the 20th, the capstone is all like improvements on your aura of protection, and the third level is here's a way to improve your smites. Maybe, I don't know. Well, no, because it was 15th level for the last.
It was
anyway.
Yeah, no, you take Inspiring Smite. Let's see what it does.
Immediately after you deal damage to a creature with any of your smites, you can expend a use of your Channel Divinity and distribute temporary hit points to creatures of your choice within 30 feet, which can include you. Total number equals 2d8 plus your paladin level divided however you like. Okay, 2d8's not great, and it doesn't scale. Well, plus your paladin level, so I guess it scales.
one more return.
Yeah.
I mean, 2d8 plus 20 is not insignificant, right?
No.
At the max level.
And it's just free anytime you smite. So that's,
Oh, you have to use Child Divinity, though.
Oh, yeah. So not so free.
Yeah.
That's not awesome.
No, it's not great, because you only get one of those usually per short rest for most of the game.
In fact, Paladins only ever get one of them per short rest unless they've changed that for the UA. Do they?
Is it? Yeah, I can't remember. I thought maybe they got 2 at like level 17, but I can't remember.
No, I'm breaking my rules and looking to see. Well, I don't know. Regardless,
maybe you're right.
Whether they have 1 or 2, it's not a lot. So having to smite and spend Channel Divinity for, something
pretty
like
meager healing. What's 2d8 average? 9 is the average. 9 plus
11 to 30 temporary hit points distributed as you see fit. Yeah. It's not terrible, but it's expensive, I guess I'd say.
Yes, it is. Of course, Paladins are a baseline strong class, so the subclasses can get away with being a little bit weaker.
That's true.
But this feels like a nerf overall to me.
Yeah. What about Smite of Protection? Or wait. Sorry.
We're down 1 page, yeah. Peerless Athlete's the next one, Peerless Athlete. Just up slightly. You gain advantage. For an hour, you gain you have to use your Child Divinity, but you get an advantage on Strength Dexterity checks.
Okay. Yeah.
And you can jump a little bit further. Okay.
I think that's similar to the existing, right? It's just
it's an hour
instead of 10 minutes.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, small buff.
Aura of Alacrity is the same.
Yep.
Do you want to take us through
Glorious Defense? You can turn defense into a sudden strike. When you or another creature you can see within 10 feet of you is hit by an attack roll, you can use your reaction to grant a bonus to the target's AC against that attack, potentially causing it to miss. So again, like similar to a lot of features that we're seeing, takes your reaction and only works on that attack, right? But the bonus equals your charisma modifier. If the attack misses, you can make a weapon attack against the attacker as part of the reaction. Nice. Provided the attacker is within your weapon's range. Charisma modifier times per long rest. So, okay, I like that it gives a little defensive buff to a friend and can turn into, an extra attack too. Of course, you couldn't smite on it because you're using your reaction and you need your bonus action to smite.
It's true. They're being very careful. Being very careful with the smites. Yeah.
What's Living Legend?
So you empower yourself with legends of your great deeds. As a bonus action, you get some benefits, which are advantage on all charisma checks. You can reroll saving throws, but you must, as your reaction, you must keep the new one, which is all right. Yeah. And then once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack and miss, you can just cause it to hit, which is pretty good. That's actually pretty good. Especially, well, it depends what you're fighting, right? If you're fighting some very big AC creatures.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice. You can do all of those. It just takes you a bonus action. It lasts for a minute, doesn't require concentration. And you can do it again with a 5th level spell slot. So yeah, 1 minute of once per turn, you just automatically hit when you miss. And using your reaction anyway, reroll a save. So when you've got Aura of Protection, you're probably going to succeed.
You're right. Yeah, with Aura Protection. Yeah, if you and it's also worth saying if this is really backwards compatible, which it is, copyright trademark, then Unerring Strike, should work with old feats like Great Weapon Master. So you can take the -5 to hit, and it doesn't matter. So that's pretty significant, right? That's pretty huge.
Sure.
So yeah, pretty good.
All right. Oath of the Ancients. We've got, I like Oath of the Ancients. Nature's Wrath can now restrain multiple creatures of the Paladin's choice within 15 feet of them instead of one within 10 feet. Okay, that's just straight up better. Turn the Faithless has been replaced by Abjure Foes in the base class. And then Aura of Warding enhances the Paladin's Aura of Protection, provides resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. So Aura of Warding used to do... It was resistance to all spell damage.
Yeah, I think it was much better than just necrotic and radiant. Yeah, but maybe they thought that was too strong. Do you think? To be
fair, necrotic and radiant, regardless of whether it's a spell or not, that was the one potential downside of Aura of Warding before. It's like, well, it's great for spells, but sometimes you might take like a dragon breath attack. It doesn't help me.
Yes,
right?
You're right. Yeah.
Of course. This wouldn't either because it's only necrotic and radiant damage.
No, but you're right. Yeah, a solar dragon maybe. But no, you're completely right. They've run into problems before with that magical damage thing where people argue constantly about what is and what isn't magical.
But yeah, no, I would say it's weaker because it's just 2 damage types that aren't super common. Necrotic damage is somewhat common, but it's not all spell damage. Was probably stronger, I think. Undying Sentinel now also heals you. Elder Champion is now a bonus action instead of an action, and it benefits all your spells, not just Paladin spells. You can also regain use of it by expending a 5th level spell slot. Okay, so...
It sounds like Elder Champion's the main difference here then.
Yeah, do you want to read through that one?
Yeah, so it's a bonus action like the others, and you empower your aura, so it's a 30-foot radius, for 1 minute. Enemies in the aura have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells and channel divinity options. That's pretty good. Because especially you've got that banishing option, right, which is very strong. Yeah. You gain 10 hit points at the start of every turn. I like that. That does add up. And whenever
again, this is your Aura of Protection, right? So everybody within your aura.
I think it's only you, because it just says you regain 10 hit points.
Oh, that's weird. Yeah, no, you're right. Granting the following benefits for 1 minute.
So, which is a shame.
It seems like why call it imbuing your Aura of Protection if it's only benefiting you? It shouldn't it just say like...
You're right, yeah, you gain the benefits and... No, that's fair. But, this last one's kind of interesting. When you cast a spell that has a casting time of 1 action, you can cast it using a bonus action instead. So there's... Okay. I don't know the Paladin spell list well enough off the top of my head to be like, oh, this is crazy. But that's good action economy always. Basically, it's like you can cast a 5th level spell and then make 2 attacks with your action, which is very fun. It
is, unless you want to be smiting all the time, which now requires a bonus action.
It's true. There's got to be some good. I'm just curious. Paladin spells here. Is there a good? But yeah, it seems like I think we're in agreement that they aren't changing too much. It's just how much do you value these spells?
Yeah.
Yeah, Destructive Wave seems to be the good one, or maybe Summon Celestial are the good action cast 5th level spells that you'll want to be pulling out.
As a bonus action and still make attacks. Okay, let's move on to Oath of Vengeance. So Oath spells now has Compelled Duel instead of Hunter's Mark. Oh, they're trying to keep Hunter's Mark with just Rangers.
Just the Ranger.
I mean, Compelled Duel is potentially a good spell, but Hunter's Mark was nice, potentially. Even though some people would argue it's a trap because it takes you bonus action to swap targets. Anyway, Vow of Enmity now lets you move your vow to another creature If the previous creature was reduced to 0 hit points before the duration of the feature ends and the feature's range has increased, that's awesome. Because, yeah, before it was like you get advantage on all your attacks against one creature, but they're dead in 2 rounds probably, you know, unless it's your big bad, right?
Yeah, you can pass it around now.
Yeah, that is nice. And it doesn't look like it doesn't even require a bonus action to.
They don't say it does. Yeah, we can check. Oh, it does. Yeah, maybe we'll check. But yeah.
Relentless Avenger can now reduce the target speed to 0. Your enemy is replaced by observed foes in the base class. We've seen that. Avenging Angel now uses a bonus action instead of an action. Its duration is now 10 minutes rather than an hour. Oh, you can also regain the use of it by expanding its spell slot. Okay, so both spells look good. Bane, Compelled Duel, Hold Person, Misty Step. Yeah, these are
nice.
Is a good list. Haste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold Monster, which you can cast as a bonus
Dimension
action.
Door. Wow, that is a really good spell list.
Best one we've seen.
Yeah. And then Vow of Enmity as a bonus action. Expend 1 use of your channel divinity. Blah, blah, blah. Advantage if the creature drops to 0. Transfer it. No action required. That's
Fantastic.
great.
Yeah,
Gosh, yeah. I kind of feel like, I mean, Vengeance Pallies were already really popular. I always kind of thought they were people thought they were better than they actually were.
I think their big thing was the no, I'm thinking of the wrong one. I was going to say that I thought for a second they were the ones that reduced people's speed to 0 when they were frightened of you, but that's not the.
No, that's Conquest.
That's Conquest, yeah.
This feels like the front runner of Paladins for me now.
Yeah, this seems like the best one. I mean, let's see what Relentless Avenger does, because they've changed it. So it used to be that when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can move up to your movement speed after the attack. Whereas now, it's when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can reduce their speed to 0 and then move up to half your speed.
So you got Sentinel, the Sentinel feat plus a little movement on top. Sentinel's a good feat.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, this Sentinel does more than this, I guess, but
yeah, it's true. But now you don't have to use
nice.
you don't have to use a feat on it if you want that effect, which is nice.
Soul of Vengeance. Immediately after a creature under the effect of your Vow of Enmity hits or misses with an attack, you can use your reaction to make a melee attack against that creature if it's within range. Well, there's your Sentinel.
Yeah,
the rest of your Sentinel.
They've
feat.
just split it into 2 things.
That is good. That's good.
Yeah.
Because you've got Vow of Enmity. I mean, this is like, hey guys, I'm playing a Vengeance Paladin, therefore I need a short rest after every single combat encounter. Is everyone cool with that? Because it's so good.
It really is, yeah. This is on top of that fantastic spell list.
Yeah.
Yeah, these hold monster, hold person.
Yeah.
And then we've got this Avenging Angel, this final one. Yeah, haste as a bonus action. Think about that. That's the previous one though, wasn't it? That was the previous one who can cast. Yeah, sorry, forget that. But anyway, you get this as a bonus action instead. You can fly up to your speed and can hover. This is for 10 minutes. And when an enemy starts its turn in your aura, they make a wisdom save or have the frightened condition for 1 minute or until they take damage. And attack rolls against them have advantage.
I mean, it's going to break the frightened condition if you hit, but still.
Yes.
That's nice. That's nice.
And
I mean, flight.
It's every turn they have to do it. Flight's always good. By level 20, it's a bit late in the game.
Sure.
But it's always nice. And you can hover means if you're knocked prone, you're not going to die.
Right.
So great.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Paladins.
I think that's the best paladin we've seen.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, Vengeance Pally feels like that's the first one I'm looking at when I'm building a paladin in 2024. For sure. Otherwise, yeah, like again, like you said, I think to be fair, paladins are very strong. Arguably too strong. Definitely one, like it almost feels like when you're sitting down with a group of 4 people to like say, okay, we're going to start a new campaign. If everyone at the table likes to optimize and min-max and play tactically, there's probably all right, who's playing the paladin question, going out. So, maybe they could stand a bit of a reduction in power. But the reason that question was asked was for Aura of Protection, not for Divine Smite, right?
You're completely right. Yeah, the Aura of Protection is just mathematically so powerful.
Yeah.
That's what it all really boils down to. So
I guess
it is
if nothing
interesting.
else, it means that if this stays, and makes it through to the final, fewer of my burst damage builds going forward will have 2 levels of paladin in them, and maybe that's a good thing, right? Sometimes I do feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna do a burst damage build and they're melee, therefore, like,
You
I've
go
got to
into
get 2 levels of
paladin.
paladin, I've got to get 2 levels of fighter for action surge, and then do other things.
Yeah, and
So
what I'm interested in always pushing for, like I'm trying to push the community to articulate in the surveys is new stuff, but let's not erode any play style identity. Let's not make everything the same. And I think the replacement of smites with the bonus action smites, that is not taking away how you play. That's giving a new way to play as well as taking something away. So I'm actually, I don't mind. It doesn't bother me like the big warlock changes bother me.
And again, like, it's not necessarily even a straight nerf. What it is it changes things. It makes it less swingy. It keeps you from, smiting 5 times on your turn and doing a billion damage, and makes you think maybe a little more tactically about your smites and when are you using them and why, and maybe makes you think, okay, like, I'm gonna need my bonus action a lot, therefore I can build this character a little bit differently, knowing that I'll want my bonus action freed up a lot of the times, and that's gonna provide me some power, but it's gonna mean I gotta trade off something else. So yeah, I don't know that I feel like this is terrible game design. It's just something I'm gonna have to like rework my brain around how I play a paladin in the future.
Yeah, you got
to build one.
That's worth saying as well. This is our first reactions. Sometimes your initial reaction to a big change can be, it kind of leans negative. If someone throws a lot of new stuff at you, naturally you can be like, oh, I liked the old one. But then sometimes when you sit on it, you can come around to it. So, but yeah, it looks like we're looking at the Ranger, which is, I thought the initial Ranger, what they did with it was a bit too strong. But they since changed other things around that made it powerful. So we'll see what this looks like. Do you want to talk us through the new Ranger updates?
Deft Explorer replaces the expertise feature at first level. Deft Explorer includes 1 expertise choice, along with some terrain-oriented material, which playtesters requested. Okay, so people want to keep Rangers as feeling rangery, I guess.
Yeah.
The feature now improves at 9th level. Okay, we can take a closer look at that. Spellcasting, I think we're probably familiar with. They can change 1 prepared spell per long rest. Cantrips no longer included. They get weapon mastery too, like the Paladins, which makes me happy. And then favorite enemy has moved to 2nd level, and it no longer removes concentration from Hunter's Mark, which was overpowered in playtests.
Yeah, I just want to say, Colby, here that I was right all along. That was the first thing I said. Like I was like, this Ranger is too strong. This is way too powerful. The giving Hunter's Mark without concentration was just wacky because you'd combine it with you'd combine it with the current hex, or divine favor if you don't want to be swapping it around. You're adding, that was at level 1. They gave it to you at level 1. It was like level 1. You use your bonus action to set up Hunter's Mark
on all.
And then, that's it, and no concentration. So like turn 1 bonus action extra d6, turn 2 bonus action hex 2d6 on every single attack.
Yeah.
Or like say if you don't want to be moving it around, you do divine
shroud if you can get to it. Yeah.
Anything, and you can grab all of, because they gave you a feat at level 1 now. You can grab all of that. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah. Which I love. I like it when they do silly things. Yeah. Sometimes it's funny. Someone came in a little
scale it back.
You try it.
And maybe the sentiment was, look, Rangers have kind of developed this reputation for being underpowered. Admittedly, I don't think they are necessarily, especially since Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe they were like, let's make them awesome. Why couldn't they do that with monks?
That's true. We can look back in 5 years and we can be like, do you remember those 3 months from
When
like
Rangers
November,
were
or like, yeah, the
really
Rangers
cool.
were crazy. They were the best class in the game, and yeah, which is fun. Okay,
Favorite
let's
enemy?
keep
Oh
going
no,
down.
we already read that. Okay,
Yeah,
so
nothing else looking
oh
too new.
wait, here we go. Ranger subclass matches the 2014 progression. I already complained about that in part 1. Conjure Barrage is a new 9th level feature. Nature's Veil no longer uses spell slots and it's moved to 14th level. Tireless now gives temporary hit points as an action, as in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Conjure Volley, new 17th level feature. Feral Senses has returned to 18th level, and Foe Slayer is now an improved version of the 2014 feature and is returned to 20th level, replacing Epic Boons. All right, so let's see.
So key things to look at are the level 2 feature, I think. The
favorite enemy?
Yes. You always have Hunter's
ahead.
Mark prepared. You can cast it a number of times, equal to your Wisdom modifier, without expending a spell slot. Okay, so that should hopefully be enough to last you all day. You should hopefully never really be casting Hunter's Mark.
Yeah, because
with a spell slot.
Wisdom mod times per day without even having to expend a spell slot. That's nice.
3, 4. I mean, Rangers usually do Dex and then Wisdom.
Yeah.
So maybe only 3 times a day at level 2. But, you know,
that's
keep it short.
good.
That should be enough if
and
you do 3 encounters a day.
Yeah. And then you can spend spell slots on it later if you need to.
What I would have liked to have seen is, instead of the non-concentration thing, how about, because they've made it so only Rangers get Hunter's Mark now, that's the idea. How about they make it so it scales? So does 1d6 early on, and then does 1d8, 1d10, 1d12, maybe.
Scales
just something
with
to think
Ranger
about.
levels.
Yeah,
that's nice. Or, I mean, is removing the bonus action to transfer it too powerful?
No, great idea. That would also be great. I completely agree. Like they just did with the Vengeance Paladin.
Yeah.
I think that would have been even better as a suggestion.
Yeah.
Just give them a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah, that way you don't feel like this isn't necessarily a good spell. It depends on how many times I'm attacking this enemy before they die, what else I could be using with my bonus action, you know. But yeah, like it's always kind of like, do I use this? If you have a good weaponized bonus action, well, it's like, okay, I could either I have extra attack. I can get a d6 on 2 attacks, and then, you know, and use cast Hunter's Mark with the bonus action, or transfer it with bonus action, or I can make my bonus action attack for, call it 1d6 plus my dex mod, and it's kind of a wash. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
damage wise.
exactly.
Now, if you're continuing to attack the same target for multiple rounds, sure, but oftentimes, you know, combat in D&D can be like, I'm only attacking this guy once, and then between me and my friends, they're dead, and I'm moving to somebody else. So yeah, that's
I completely no, you're right. And it kind of made weirdly Divine Favor, the one that gave you 1d4 on everything. In some ways was the better spell, because you never need to swap it around. It's on you, it's not on the enemy. But yeah, okay, yeah, definitely something to think about. But I think that's pretty good.
I think so too. It's definitely, you know, it's not overpowered for sure, like it maybe was. And we could still maybe use a little love, but okay, we've got roving. No, that's not new.
Faster. Conjure Barrage, that's new.
There we go. Read that for us.
Oh, it's this thing where they give you the spell, like they did this with the Sorcerer. Do you remember?
Okay.
Yeah, they give you the Conjure Barrage spell, and they give you the Conjure Volley spell. So I think those are just you make a bunch of attacks as an action.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then let's see. Tireless just said it already told us the change. You get temp HP. You can remove exhaustion levels. Nature's Veil. Oh yeah, I don't think that's different than Tasha's.
Yeah, that was in the last. Invisible condition till the end of your next turn. So it's you know, pretty good. You can run away.
Yeah.
So the big change here looks like Foe Slayer then. They said they'd upgraded this. So when your attack roll misses the target of your Hunter's Mark, you can add your Wisdom modifier to the attack roll, potentially turning it into a hit.
Okay. No limit on how often you can do this? No. So it's not once on a turn?
No. In addition, whenever you hit a target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, whenever you hit that target with an attack roll, you can add your wisdom modifier to the damage. This is definitely phrased unoptimally. They could just say add your wisdom modifier to attack and damage rolls against the target of your hunter's mark. Because it's the exact same thing. I don't think there's any difference there. But what do you think about that? It forces you into hunter's mark, but it's an extra 5 to hit and an extra 5 damage on every single attack.
Assuming that you've got your wisdom up to 20 by level 20.
Yes,
which
of course.
You probably do, but not necessarily, right?
You're right. That would lock you out of feats, because rangers are a bit mad, because you want the 20/20. Yes, good point.
I mean, so call it a +3 to 5 to hit and damage. That's not insignificant. Especially when you're already adding damage for Hunter's Mark. Now, they don't have Sharpshooter and Great Weapon Master any longer, so it's maybe not as good as it would be in current version of D&D.
Yes, yeah.
But that still feels good to me. I'd have to think about what weapon specialization I would pair this with, right? And things like that. But well, I don't know. I like it.
No, I think it's interesting. It's just a shame that there is that bonus action tension with Hunter's Mark becomes so important that if you want to be the dual wielding ranger, which a lot of people do, might not be as feasible.
It's not as good.
Yeah,
it's not as good. Again, that's not to say that it's bad. I mean, there are plenty of times when you will be attacking the same target for 2 or 3 rounds, right? It's just that, and in those cases, Hunter's Mark's good, or at least it's better than making a bonus action attack, probably. But then there will be times where you'll be like, using my bonus action every single turn or almost every single turn to transfer Hunter's Mark, and that's frustrating. Okay, Beastmaster. Let's see. Do you want to read us Beastmaster?
Yeah. So this is if anyone at home hasn't checked out the Tasha's Beastmaster, you gotta, because it changes it completely, makes it good.
It's good. Yeah.
So basically, Primal Companion's back, which is the good version of the ability, and then you now have exceptional training, which allows you to command your beast to use its bonus action to take the dash, disengage, dodge, or help action, and the beast's attacks ignore damage resistance. That seems very good. Getting your beast to disengage after attacking, or help, give you advantage.
I'm thinking, right.
And then Bestial Fury lets your beast benefit from your Hunter's Mark spell. So that gets even more value from Hunter's Mark.
That feels kind of awesome, actually.
Yeah, and that nicely summarizes all the difference as well. Let me just remind myself, do you command your beast as a bonus action with this, or is that
yes, you can either sacrifice one of your attacks or use your bonus action to command them.
Yes. Okay. So that's again a lot of bonus action tension.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be very careful in managing what you do with your bonus, because if you're having to use a bonus action set up Hunter's Mark, your beast is taking a turn off just to dodge, which is a shame.
Yeah. Now,
or you sacrifice one of your attacks. Yeah.
Right. Which you probably will be doing, right? Yes. If you're getting Hunter's Mark up, depending on how much you hit for, I guess it might be better for you to attack than for your beast. Probably would be, actually, depending on. Well, anyway. Yeah. Could you do me a quick favor? Could you look up Hunter's Mark on your end, and let's just make sure that.
On the actual playtest.
That you do still have to transfer it with a bonus action, and we're not just whining about this ad nauseum and unnecessarily.
Oh dear. It's a lot worse than we think. Because not only do you still have to use a bonus action to change it to a new creature, it only triggers once per turn.
Oh, wow. So wait, even if you're a beast master hunter and
it says only the first time you hit it with an attack roll on any turn. That is such
wizards,
a pain.
That's not good. That's not good.
Okay, so again, conspiracy theory time. I feel like we make videos about, I made a video, my previous Ranger video spoke at length about how crazy this was because Hex and Hunter's Mark stacked on every single attack. And this feels like a response to that. Now, it might be that just I threw something out there that they also had the same idea.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like when, like, I hope they're not just, you know, like, I feel like this is an overcorrection. Hex,
it is. It feels like a big overcorrection because again,
this is now
like,
a bad spell.
Even if it worked on every single attack, it was questionable on whether or not you want to use it. You probably would, depending on how many attacks you got on your turn and depending on how long you were going to be attacking that same target. Like, if they're going to do this, then it absolutely needs to be able to be transferred without using a bonus action, I think.
I will just add, sorry, I just forgot to mention something which I missed. This is new. If you cast it with a 3rd or 4th level spell, it's up to 2d6 damage. And if you cast it with a 5th level spell, it's 3d6.
Okay, so it's nice that it scales. But again, Hunter spell scaling is slow because they're half casters. It is slow. And you're using a 3rd level spell to deal 2d6, which is what you were doing at level 1 before with 2-weapon fighting, right? So it only really gets better. It only really gets better when you get to 5th level. Yeah.
And then it deals 3d6. And even that's only better if you're not 2-weapon fighting, because you can make 2 attacks and an offhand attack. No, this is bad. That's a real shame. And again,
what frustrates me is when I hear them talk about, like, we're gonna make martial characters way better. You know what I mean? And we're gonna bridge that gap between martials and casters, and it doesn't feel like they're doing a great job of that.
They're really not. But I mean, there's an upside, right? It's that there's loads of great homebrew third-party content, which does make martials, and you can look to that if that's your thing.
That's true.
I've played stuff, you know.
This is Unearthed Arcana, so playtest it and give them feedback, because I do really think that they're listening to feedback and trying to make changes accordingly. So
yes, I do not doubt the designers' intent. I really do think they want to help. I think they look at the playtest scores, they look at the numbers, it's all aggregated, and they look at how many people liked this. If not enough people liked it, they change it, and that's literally all it is. So just make sure you vote, you know, when you do the survey. If you do the survey, you vote on the stuff that is actually bad. No, Hunter's Mark needs to be better.
Yes, it was probably too strong before. It's definitely too weak now. Okay, and especially if you're going to tie a lot of Hunter features to it.
Exactly. They've made it necessary for the entire subclass to work. Pretty much. The whole class is like built around it, and it's bad. No, you definitely want something better.
All right, let's move on to Gloomstalker, the unquestionably strongest subclass in the current version of the Ranger subclass options. Do you wanna read us the?
Okay, let's
I'm
take
going to assume that they are nerfing.
So Dread Ambusher now lets the Ranger deal extra damage more often than only during the first round of combat, and includes the frightened condition. So that sounds better.
Wrong.
Umbral Sight now increases your dark vision by 60 feet instead of 30 feet if you already have that sight. That makes sense to me. Stalker's Flurry has been redesigned to enhance the frighten effect given by Dread Ambusher. Okay. And Shadowy Dodge now lets you teleport immediately after the attack misses. And the feature even works against an attack that has advantage. This doesn't sound like it got worse.
It does not sound like it got worse. All right, we've got Dread Ambusher. Let's just make sure that it didn't get nerfed and we didn't realize it. Ambusher's Leap. At the first start of the first turn of each combat, your speed increases. Frighten once per turn when you attack a creature and hit it with a weapon. Okay, so this is different. It used to be like every single attack you make on the first round of combat, basically, you would do extra damage. Now it's just saying that once per turn, when you attack a creature and hit it with a weapon, you can deal an extra 1d8 of psychic damage and force it to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, it's frightened until the start of your next turn. You can use this benefit, and you can only use this benefit a number of times equal to your wisdom modifier per long rest. So that is not as good, I would say.
Yes, the original was it was a build around feature. You know, you took the levels in assassin rogue to crit,
yep, and
you took fighter action surge.
Exactly.
Make sure you got a bonus action attack. You throw it all in at once.
Right, and do huge burst damage right up front. It looks like I would almost say that maybe one design goal of One D&D, based on what we've been reading today anyway, is reducing burst damage in general. Or at least removing a lot of burst damage potential from martial characters and trying to leave it with casters, perhaps.
Maybe that's it. I mean, we haven't seen any full casters in this UA, so we can't be for sure. But yes, you're definitely right. And I do understand that. I've had one of my DMs just, offhandedly complain about the assassin rogue because he said it's impossible to balance because do you double your boss's HP in the expectation that they're going to crit immediately and deal like 200 points of damage? And if you do that, then you're making their entire class worthless because you've just made it completely irrelevant. It's great.
Do you
did 200 hit points.
Or do you give everything a 30 passive perception so that they can never
do it?
Enemy?
Or do you just let them kill everything without caring? And it's kind of a lose-lose situation, right? The assassin is kind of a problematic subclass for that reason, and in a sense the Gloomstalker is along the same lines. That's why they're combined. So I understand.
And paladins can potentially be problematic in the same way, which I'm okay with. I'm like, if we want to like reduce burst damage capabilities of certain classes or whatever, that's okay. But let's not just take away. Let's improve in other ways. And they have, like, they've been doing things to do that. Those paladin smite spells again can be interesting and fun, but like Hunter's Mark is just straight up worse. And this is like, okay, well now I'm choosing when to apply the extra damage, and it gets a fear overrider, which is okay. But wisdom modifier times per day is not a lot for most hunters. So it's just kind of a little mini smite with a fear attached, which again, not bad, but it's definitely not the burst capability that the Gloomstalkers had before. And you do get to add your wisdom modifier to initiative.
Yeah, which is always good. I like going first, so I feel that. A number of sights the same, but pretty much you get 60 feet in hand. I mean, bigger dark vision is really good, for ranged builds. So that is.
And you still, if they're relying on dark vision to see you, you're invisible.
Still invisible. Yeah, it's fantastic.
That's actually really
good. So Stalker's Flurry is the new one. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, when you use the frightened effect of your Dread Ambusher, you can cause one of the I do like this. I like how they are building on features as you take more levels in a thing. Like that, again, like the current version of D&D probably doesn't do enough of that, I think, where you're really incentivized to keep taking levels in the same class, because if you do, then this thing gets even more powerful. And that's cool because it makes it feel both like thematic and also mechanically scaling.
I agree. It's a very elegant design choice. If you just constantly build along old features, for anyone who makes UA at home, you're always going to get a subclass that feels like it works together and feels flavorful, because it just naturally grows and breathes. You don't need to come up with a completely new feature every single time. So
right. So when you use the frightened effect of the Dread Ambusher, you can do one of the following effects. Sudden Strike, you can make another attack with the same weapon against a different creature within 5 feet of the original, and that's within the weapon's range. So that's a little bit like the old Hunter's, what was that?
Colossus Slayer.
Colossus Slayer,
one of those, yeah.
Anyway, Mass Fear. Each creature within 10 feet of the target must make a wisdom save against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature has the frightened condition until the start of your turn. Okay, so you're. I always think of rangers as ranged. I know that you can do melee too.
It's in the name though, isn't it? Right.
But yeah, it's like you hit him with an arrow, frighten him, and then all of his friends within 10 feet too. That's pretty cool. It's like a little fear bomb.
Yeah, I do not mind that. I will say though, that this tying it to a frighten effect means that at higher levels this subclass might do nothing, because I can't Yeah, I can't think of a very high level creature that doesn't have immunity to frightened. It's like the first one that they give every boss.
Yeah.
Every boss is immune to frightened. So you're gonna be
Yeah,
running low on targets.
So nice for like swarms of enemies, but useless against your big bads. Probably at higher levels. Of course, they might make changes to the monster manual too, right? And make immunity to fear less common. Who knows? Shadowy dodge. You can dodge with wisps of supernatural shadow around you. When the creature makes an attack roll against you, you can use your reaction to impose disadvantage on that roll. If the attack misses, you can teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space. That's cool. And there's no limit to how often you can use this. When they make an attack roll. Oh, what? Sorry, your reaction.
Your reaction, but you're right. You make them miss their first one. They're a multi-attacking creature. You get away, and then what do they do?
And teleport.
They're out. You're 30 feet away. So if they use any movement to get up to you, they probably can't reach you again.
Yeah, that's kind of awesome. I like it. Okay, let's move on to Hunter.
Okay, I'll take it. The Hunter's Prey now contains 3 feature options that appeared in 2014. Giant Killer's been renamed to Retaliator and now works with attacks against attackers of any size. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. I had a short about complaining about this.
Oh, did you complain that Giant Killer was the same as Colossus Slayer?
No, my complaint was don't just assume that we only want Colossus Slayer and remove the other ones because Hordebreaker was cool.
I agree.
Giant Killer was not good, but if they improve it, then maybe it can be. I just wish that you didn't have to choose one at level 3 and you don't get to ever change it. I'm all for, hey, well, why not let us once per turn make a decision?
Yeah, that's interesting. My like jokey criticism of this is always that Giant Killer and Colossus Slayer mean the same thing. It's like, oh, look at these 2 different features. It's like, oh, what's the third one? Like Big Boy Murderer. It's like you're just saying the same thing again and again. So I'm glad that they changed it because it was just like a funny thing.
Large creature demolisher.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you talking about, man? Like, so yeah, I'm glad they changed it because it makes more sense. Okay, yeah. Next one, they've got Hunter's Laws moved to 3rd level. Which is I think that was just that was like a flavor ability.
Yeah, it was kind of
Defensive Tactics returns, but it contains evasion and uncanny dodge from Superior Hunter's defense.
Nice.
So, okay, yeah, evasion and uncanny dodge are both good abilities. So I guess you choose one of them. I think probably uncanny dodge is better, but I'm not sure. I'd have to think about it. And then Superior Hunter's Prey replaces multi-attack, which I really liked, but they've kind of given the multi-attack options with the Conjure Barrage, Conjure Volley.
Yeah.
And then finally, we've got Superior Hunter's Defense now lets you choose another option from... Oh, okay, so it literally...
Defensive Tactics.
Oh, so what they're doing is they're saying, okay, choose one of these 3 at this level, and then when you get to level 11 and level 15, you just choose another one, which is... Okay, I mean, hell, it saves on ink, right? You just go back to that previous ability, pick another one. Sure. Okay.
So Colossus Slayer then is the same as it is today. Hordebreaker is the same as it is today. Retaliator is better, right? Because it doesn't matter what size they are.
Yes, and didn't Retaliator wasn't it before? It's like only when it missed you could attack it, but now if it's now you can just attack it every time. So I think that's pretty
reaction. Yeah,
that's probably the best one now, actually. Retaliator, assuming you're getting hit a lot.
Yeah, they just attack you whether they hit or not.
Yes, only for close ranges.
Right. So that's your melee. Yeah, that's nice, and I like that. They're all potentially interesting, viable choices. Again, I just wish it was like once per turn you can choose one of these, or maybe you choose it once per day, right? And today I'm this, but later maybe I want to switch.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. That's something a DM could house rule though as well, quite easily.
For sure.
So
yeah,
that's something you'd take up with your DM.
Hunter's Lore. While a creature is marked by your Hunter's Mark, you know whether they have any damage or condition immunities, damage resistances, or damage vulnerabilities. That's nice. That's potentially useful. Again, tying things to Hunter's Lore. Hold on 1 second. My headphones just died, so I need to get my wired ones. Or at least they're getting low. You know what? Let's do this. I'm just going to put in one.
Oh,
And
well,
I'm
let's
not
save
even-
battery. That's clever.
I'm not even gonna edit this out because I'm probably gonna forget.
Yeah, no,
So-
and that's the power of being a content creator. You know, we can do what we want. These videos are, you know, just watch the retention just drop. It's like people at home are furious. How dare they?
Right at
No,
this
that's
mark.
great. It's no, it's humanizing is what it is. People love that.
Defensive tactics. I think, yeah, again, you get to choose one of these now: evasion or uncanny dodge, or this new one is hunter's leap. Though, if an enemy you can see enters a space within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to move up to half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. Okay, nice.
Yeah.
So it's a reaction, get away, get out of jail free.
I like that some of them seem very actively for ranged rangers, and some of them seem very actively for melee rangers, right? So if you're a ranged ranger, you take that one, so you can always be getting away.
Right,
I like that.
And this is nice because at 11th level, you get another hunter's prey. So even better than switching them up, well, you get both of them.
You get two. Yeah.
You get 2 of your favorites. And then again, superior hunter's defense. So pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's a very simple subclass to get behind. A good one for beginners, probably.
Right, and I would say overall, I like it better than the current hunter.
Yes, I love the hunter's 11th level features to volley or multi-attack slash or whatever it's called. But I understand that that's been taken out for and kind of put into the main class. So yeah, I can live with it.
Overall, the biggest problem with rangers in general, I think, is hunter's mark. Like it needs to be better, I think, especially if you're going to tie a lot of class features to it.
Yeah, I mean, how would you fix it? I think, just to like kick off the discussion here, because I think this is the biggest thing about rangers, right? I think I would say it's as many times as you want per turn. So it's D6 on every attack, and you can shift it. Maybe you can shift it as a reaction, right? Like when the creature dies, you can use your reaction to move it to a new creature. Otherwise, you use a bonus action.
I get behind that. I think
that's what it means.
Maybe just moving it anytime you want is too much, without any sort of resource expenditure. The only problem with using it as a reaction is, well, again, like you only get 1 per turn, and what if I'm this retaliator? Immediately after creature uses, then you can use your reaction to make a weapon attack against him, or hunter's leap.
Yes, you're right.
There's just a lot of bottlenecking, and here's something in favor of Pathfinder. Since I criticized Pathfinder in part 1, sometimes it has a 3-action economy. There's no action, bonus action, whatever. Everybody gets 3 actions every turn. You can do 3 things, and sometimes that can be frustrating, but sometimes it can be. The simplicity of it can be nice. In that, there's no like, oh, well, I already used my bonus action, so I can't do that until next turn. It's just like, whatever, everything's an action. You want to do that 3 times, you can do that 3 times. You want to do that and that and that, you can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, but yeah, so that they do run into problems, and I wish that for that reason, I guess, I wish that in the player's handbook, and this is a homebrew rule at a lot of tables, I know, but I wish they would just say, if you ever want to use an action for a bonus action, you can.
Yes, you're right. That is not a rule in the game, but it is often, That
would be nice. But yeah, Hunter's Mark needs to be on every attack, and you need to be able to transfer it either without any resource expenditure or maybe with reaction. I think I
really can see them feeling so like we cannot win, like with the way, like the last one, I was like, oh, this is just way too powerful. What were they thinking? These fools, they don't care, like whatever. And now I'm coming in and like we're both coming in and like, yeah, this is
it's terrible.
But what I will say is that just as we move on to the last one, I want to note this feels like the most thoughtful UA we've had.
Yes, for sure.
Some of the previous ones
refining. Right?
Yeah, this really feels. I don't know if they've had. This is a 77-page document. There's a lot that goes into making. Like I make D&D content all the time. There's a lot that goes into making it. They are certainly working extremely hard, and this one really feels like they've not just slapped anything in. Like the original Druid, to me, it felt like someone had a thought one afternoon, they wrote it down. And then they throw it out there.
Right.
Yeah, that was a criticism I heard someone else say, and I stole that. I was like, that's perfect. That's exactly how it feels to me. Whereas this feels like they're really thinking, they're taking the time. I don't know if they've got more time given to them by the company. If people have said, look, take your time, like do it. If that's the case, that's exactly how it should be. The designers should have space to think and explore. So I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for that. It feels like they're really, they're really, I'm under no doubt at any point that they're not trying their absolute best and they're doing a good job.
For sure.
Which for a while back there, I was a little bit like, some of this feels really weak. But this one, I'm really a big fan of. But let's see if that continues into the rogue.
Let's check out the rogue. All right, so main updates since last playtest version. Sneak attack is no longer required to be used on your turn with the attack action. Okay, that's good. They've brought back the ability to use it
like sneak attack as a reaction.
Yes,
when you stab someone in the back. Opportunity.
Right. Weapon mastery is a new first level feature. Awesome. They get weapon mastery too. So like even the half casters and rogues of the world, it's not just for warriors, which I appreciate. Rogue subclass levels now match the level progression in the 2014 rogue. Again, like
that's the level 3 and the level 9 problem, isn't it? Yeah, it's such a long space. That's why a lot of rogues feel homogenous, I think. It's because, sure, you get your level 3 feature, but then it's so long before you get your level 9 one. I agree. That's a place where I would happily see a rogue feature at level 6.
Yes.
Instead of expertise or whatever they have there.
Anyway, steady aim is a new 3rd level feature imported from Tasha's. So steady aim, I have mixed feelings about steady aim. It's nice to be able to have on-demand advantage, but like it requires your bonus action and you can't move. It's like,
it's really there to give you that emergency sneak attack button. If you can't get it any other way, look, okay, at least you can get it.
Yeah.
Because rogues really fall apart without sneak attack in terms of
damage, and I mean, I would argue that they don't keep up with other damage
even with sneak
classes
attack.
Anyway.
I agree.
But cunning strikes is a new 5th level feature, giving tactical options to sneak attack. Cool.
Okay.
Check those out. Expertise is returned to 6th level. Evasion is returned to 7th. Reliable talent has moved from 11th to 7th. Oh wow.
We'll have to see if they've changed that, because reliable talent is a very good ability.
Yeah. Subtle strikes has been removed because of the addition of steady aim. I think subtle strikes was good. I think that was in the last UA.
I can't remember it. Yeah, I can't remember it offhand.
Improved cunning strikes, a new 11th level feature. Devious strikes is a new 14th level feature. Elusive has returned to 18th level, and stroke of luck has returned to 20th, replacing epic boons. Okay, so let's look at let's just look at sneak attack real quick to make sure that it's what we think it is.
Have they done it? So it's still on a ranged or finesse weapon.
Mm-hmm.
You get it when you have advantage.
Once per turn. Once per turn.
That's what it's always. Was it always?
Well,
once per turn?
It was once on a turn.
Once on a turn.
Now I don't know if this substantially, because it's not once per round.
Yeah, so you can still
maybe it's
do
the same
combos.
Thing, right? Maybe you can get it on your turn, and if you can get a reaction attack, you can do it.
Yeah, and I like that because there's a lot of combos you can do with like a battle master or
order cleric.
Yeah, order cleric. That's
or even multi-classing yourself and picking up like some battle master things to
absolutely
get reaction attacks and stuff like that.
And then you roll d6 is equal to half your rogue level rounded up, so I think that's the same, like 2d6 level 3. Yeah, and then add the dice together, and the extra damage type is the same. So so will this double on a crit? That's the question that we need to ask.
Once on a turn, deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll. If you're attacking with a finish, determine the extra damage, roll a number, add the dice, the extra damage. I think so. If you
deal extra damage when you hit them,
once per turn, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll. Maybe that's different than add damage to the attack.
I think it does. Yeah, this sounds like Hunter's Mark kind of thing, which is doubled. So I think this counts. Yeah, I think they're back that sneak attacks can crit. I think that's back in.
Okay, I hope
But
so.
that's cool. Okay, yeah. So sneak attack's basically exactly as it was. They tried something different. People didn't like it. They changed it.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, damage same as the whip. Okay. And thieves can't gaze the language. That's not new, but I love weapon mastery. Hooray! Cunning action. Steady aim. Yep. You can't if you haven't moved and your speed is 0. Yep. Cunning strike. Let's figure out what this is.
Do you wanna read through? It's a big one.
Sure.
It's a new thing, but
you've developed cunning ways to use your sneak attack. When you deal sneak attack damage, you can add one of the following effects. Each has a die cost, which is the number of sneak attack damage dice you must forego to add the effect. Interesting. You remove the die before rolling, and the effect occurs immediately after the attack's damage is dealt. For example, if you add the poison effect, remove 1d6 from sneak attack damage before rolling. If a cunning strike effect requires a saving throw, it's your dex mod, based on your dex mod. Nice. Okay. Disarm. The target must succeed on a dex save, or it drops one item. Okay, that's not super useful, but once in a while. Poison. Add toxin to your strike, forcing the target to make a con save. On a failed save, the target has the poisoned condition for a minute. At the end of each of its turns, it can repeat the save. I mean, it's interesting, right? At least it's an option that's potentially interesting. Sure, it's a con save. Sure, a lot of creatures have immunity to poison.
Yeah.
Sorry, the sun's setting on me. I'm realizing right now.
No, it's beautiful. It looks very. I feel like you're gonna start a Coldplay song, any second.
And it was all yellow.
You got it, bro.
But yeah, it's an option, and there's a cost for it, but sometimes it'll be great because poison condition is really good if you can get it to stick on somebody, right? Disadvantage on all of their attacks,
advantage on incoming attacks,
saves, something like that. I don't.
It's just attacks, I think. Good. But I want to say as well that I always say you can tell a good ability or a good mechanic when you read it and you're like, oh my god, why was this not here all along? Yeah, this makes so much sense. And I think this makes total sense. This is a great design space to explore. So I like that.
If the target's larger, smaller, dex save, not strength save. Usually tripping something, knocking them prone they get a strength save.
Yeah.
So dex save or prone. And withdraw. Immediately after the attack, you move half your speed without provoking opportunity attacks. You don't even have to use cunning action. Mm-hmm. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially because we get weapon masteries now. So now it's like, okay, I can trip them, and now I don't have to be using a weapon that's knocking them prone because I can do that with my sneak attack. So I get a different weapon mastery to do stuff. That's cool. I like it.
I like it. Yeah, me too. I want to, again, just kind of talking now. But one thing that I always have started doing in every homebrew I make is, instead of saying if the target is large or smaller, I say if the target is no more than one size bigger than you. So I would like them to start doing that. If anyone at Wizards is watching, because I'm always like, it makes sense to me, doesn't it? It's like, it's large or smaller because they're not too big. But hey, if you were bigger, it would make sense that you'd be able to trip a bigger creature.
If you can take Rune Knight or enlarge Reduce,
I think that makes...
Give yourself a way to work around.
Yeah, opens up so much. It changes nothing. It's just something to think about. But I think Trip is my favorite there.
It's a nerf to small races.
Yes, that's
potentially.
True.
But that's about it.
You'd need to maybe say it's large or smaller. Anyway, you're right. Yeah, it's worth thinking about. But anyway,
okay. Let's see. Uncanny dodge is the same. Expertise. Yep. Evasion. Reliable talent. Yeah, reliable talent at 7th level. Read that. Is it different?
It's exactly the same. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything with proficiency in, it's a 10. So at this level,
an even better skill monkey than before.
Yeah. At this level, your proficiency is only +3, but it's soon to be +4. So
and you already got evasion and another D6 to your sneak attack. 7th level is like E level for rogues for sure.
That's it. I can definitely see a very powerful skill monkey with the new rogue and the new barbarian. Multi-classed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
improved cunning strike. You can use up to 2 cunning strike effects when you deal sneak attack damage, paying the die cost for each. So you still got to pay for them, but you could poison and trip or whatever.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Let's see.
Oh, and then Devious Strikes is the new one.
Yeah, read that.
So exactly the same as before, it looks like, but now you can pay 2d6 for a daze condition, but it's a Constitution save again, which is a shame. Or you can do 6d6 for a knockout. The target must succeed on a con save, or it falls unconscious for 1 minute or until it takes any damage. So that's pretty good if they fail.
I mean, that's really good. Unconscious for a minute, but think about that, because unconscious targets, if you hit them, you automatically crit. It's very, very hard outside of the sleep spell, I believe, to knock people unconscious, put somebody in unconscious state or kill them.
Yes, yeah, exactly. You can kill them. Does it?
So for 1 minute or until it takes any damage, it can repeat the save at the end of each of its turns. So it's a con save and it gets to repeat the save.
I didn't see the. I didn't see the repeating save. I thought it was just. I mean, to be honest, one turn of unconscious might be enough. I mean, there is stuff you can do with it. Like 1 turn of unconscious is all you need to. You stuff them into a bag of devouring and they're gone, right? You can.
Sure.
You can break it.
That's right, because it breaks on taking damage. You could do other things to them.
Yeah, you can. If your DMR lets you do it, in 1 minute you can tie them up. Or 1 turn. I don't know if maybe that you can say that happens fast enough. I've never tied anyone up in real life. I don't know how long it takes. Someone in the comments will know.
It's cool. It's cool, and it feels very roguelike, right? Like you've got your sap, and you're sneaking up on them, and you're knocking them out. I like it.
Yes, I mean, you're giving up, what is that, like an average of about 21 damage just to try?
Sure.
So, but yeah, still, it's cool. It's cool. And with silvery barbs or a divination wizard in the party.
Sure. You can, or an enchantment, or an eloquence bard.
Yeah, exactly. Someone's cutting words. You can make it happen. And then the final one is obscure. You strike near the target's eyes, dexterity save, or has the blinded condition until the end of its next turn. Guaranteed. Again, that's
very roguish, right? Like you're playing dirty. You're grabbing a handful of sand and you're throwing it in their eyes. I mean,
yeah, I like it.
I like it too.
And blinded is good. It's good. And again, dexterity save is a lot easier to get off than a con save. That's for sure. It's
fun thinking of sneak attack damage as a resource.
Yes, you're right. That's why it's cool. They've taken the huge damage numbers and they've given it to you as a resource. And I completely agree. I like that. This is a better rogue. My concern being a numbers guy, always being, we already don't get extra attack. And, sneak attack isn't generally, if you're just like, I hit stuff, and maybe that's a boring way to play and maybe nobody wants to play that way. But if we're just talking like, okay, I use my turn to hit things as hard as I can and you use your turn to hit things as hard as you can, well, the rogue is already falling behind, the barbarian, the fighter, and maybe that's okay. But if now we're taking away sneak attack damage, then it's even worse. Now we're getting some cool stuff for it, so at least it's an interesting choice. But it is a choice. Like, it's not forced on you.
Right.
This is all a choice.
It does kind of make me wish that they just would get extra attack at level 5.
Yeah.
Or something else. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a higher scaling on sneak attack. Maybe they're D8s or whatever.
Yeah. I would be down to, I think this is an improvement though in the flavor, which is the most exciting thing for me.
Sure.
Because that's why most people are playing a rogue, I think, to have that fantasy.
Yeah. You want to be the roguish, dirty, dastardly knave.
Yeah, mustache twirling. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Sneaking around, stabbing things in the back.
Yeah.
Okay, so elusive. Okay.
I think it's all the same. Yeah.
Is the 20 uncanny knack if you fail a d20.
You turn it into a 20.
Into a 20, not a success.
Yeah,
a 20.
Just a 20. So you guarantee the crit.
Once per short rest, that's pretty good, especially if sneak attack damage can crit.
Yeah, which I think it can.
Yeah.
And of course, at that point, if you're rolling, what is that, 20d6, it's suddenly not such a bad thing to give up 2 or 4.
Sure,
you know, it's like, I'll throw away 2 to try and daze you, sure.
Yeah.
That's fun. Stroke of luck. Damn, an
All
auto
right.
crit. Yeah, pretty filthy.
Coming down the home stretch with rogue subclasses. Hurry, the sun has set, so...
Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right.
I don't even know if I have a light in this room.
No, that's good. So spellcasting now uses the arcane spell list, and you can now change your cantrip.
Okay.
Yeah, and versatile trickster has now been redesigned, so you can use certain options from your cunning strike with your mage hand. Basically, it looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah. But that is interesting. I like that play with the mage hand légèrement.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, do you want to read that out?
Well, it's just you can make the spectral hand invisible, you can control it as a bonus action, you can use thieves' tools and make sleight of hand checks, but we're told that's versatile trickster. Okay,
versatile trickster. Oh, sorry, it's further down.
So 13th level, you gain the ability to distract targets with your mage hand. When you use the disarm or trip options of your cunning strike, so that's where you're spending at 5th level, right? You're spending your sneak attack dice to disarm, to trip. You can also target that option at a creature within 5 feet of the spectral hand. Okay. So it just extends the range of your ability to do those things.
So you also target that option at a creature. So you trip the one in front of you, and at the same time, 15 feet away, your spectral hand sweeps someone off their feet. Okay, yeah,
that's cool.
Sure.
So you're knocking a couple of them prone, and you're not spending any more dice to do it.
Yeah, it's a free. Yeah, you're right. It's a free chance. It's a free chance, especially an extra chance at a daze or a knockout later on is probably very. Oh no, it's only disarm and trip.
It's just disarm and trip. Yeah.
Still not bad.
I think Spell Thief is the same. Okay, yeah. Arcane Trickster, to be fair, was one of the better rogue subclasses. Arguably the best rogue subclass.
Yeah, just because of the booming blade, etc. Just so good.
So they probably didn't need a lot. Do you want to do Assassin?
Yeah, let's take a look at Assassin. Just before we were saying it was a bit of a tricky subclass, so let's see how they've changed it. So Assassinate now gives you advantage on initiative rolls, and your extra damage no longer requires the target to be surprised. So I'm guessing that it doesn't always crit anymore.
Maybe not, but...
we'll see. Yeah.
Oh, hold on one sec. My left earbud died. My left earbud died. To the right. And charge that one. I might need to just go get the
well, we are very close.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Yeah, we'll see how we can make it. This is like a ticking clock element. So infiltration expertise, it combines infiltrating. It's combined with the imposter, basically. Envenom weapons is a new feature, so I have to take a look at that. It gives you a bit more poisoning. That makes sense. And Death Strike no longer requires the target to be surprised. It relies on your sneak attack instead. Okay. So let's look at this surprising strike seems to be the new one if you take that.
Well, let's do, so Assassinate. So you get advantage on initiative rolls, and then during the first round of each combat, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn. So like the old Gloomstone, well, it already, that's the same. If your sneak attack hits any target during that round, the target takes extra damage of the weapons type equal to your rogue level.
So no more crits. No more crits.
Less.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, like you were saying, though, this is easier to balance around. And it's also potentially less frustrating for a player who, like myself, my very first character in 5e was a monk/assassin rogue. And I was all about, like, we got to get surprised. I want to get surprised because then I'm going to do big damage if I get surprised. Yeah. And I had a freaking Leroy Jenkins barbarian in my party who would never let me. I'm like, let me scout ahead and try to, and he'd just be like, run in, and I'd just be like, Rah! And it was so frustrating, right?
No, absolutely, yeah, I feel it.
How many combat encounters happen in D&D where there's really no chance for you to even get surprised because you get ambushed or you're having a conversation with somebody and a fight breaks out or whatever, right?
Yeah, most for sure.
And so it's like, this is really cool the 10% of the time that it works or whatever, but the rest of the time it's a nothing feature, right? Well, it wasn't nothing because you still had advantage on the first round. But so now, during the first round of combat, they don't have to be surprised, so you're not automatically critting. They're removing that burst damage potential and making it so that you're just more reliably doing a little more damage. Not saying it's bad. just saying it's definitely different.
It's yes. It's worse in terms of like the old one was arguably broken, right? In a weird way, it was broken.
It could be
broken. Yeah. So,
if your sneak attack hits any target during that round, so again, this is just once per round. You're just doing a little extra damage. Your rogue level in damage. I mean, it scales, you know. Level 10, you're doing 10 extra damage, but just once per combat encounter.
During the first round. Yes, it is only once per combat, but it just says any target during that round. I think you could, if you got off 2 sneak attacks, it would trigger twice. So,
yeah, if you could
fully optimize.
If you could use it as a reaction on round 1 and they still hadn't gone.
Yeah, you can get off. Yeah. Okay, not bad. Let's take a look at Envenom weapons then. That's another new one. When you use the poison option of your Cunning Strike, they also take 2d6 poison damage whenever they fail the save. And it ignores resistance to poison. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it ignores resistance. Now, the problem with poison is immunity, not resistance, right? So many creatures are immune. But again, we haven't seen the new monster manual. Maybe they'll make some changes along
They
those
might
lines.
be scaling back on that, yeah. I could imagine they would. And then, Death Strike.
You hit with your sneak attack on the first round of combat. Again, coupled with, Assassinate. The target must succeed on a con save, DC plus your Dex mod, or the attack's damage is doubled. So it's not a critical hit, but the attack, and actually this is better because it's going to add your modifiers and stuff too, right? All of the attack's damage is doubled. But it's not until 17th level. And they get a Constitution saving throw against it.
Again, it's ugly.
It's like, when it works, it'll be big damage, and most of the time it won't, especially at 17th level.
Yeah, if you're getting up there, you're struggling. Yeah, it's worth remembering, right? The at 17th level, the wizard gets wish, and you get that.
Right.
It's not really fair.
Granted, it works on every combat encounter potentially.
Yep,
first round.
Yeah.
Not just once per day, like Wish, or 1d4 once per 1d4 number of days, or whatever the restriction on Wish is. I think at 17th level it needs to just work, right? Like,
yes, I agree.
Just double the damage.
Just give it once
just
per
double
day.
my damage on my first attack in a combat encounter. That's cool.
I know why they've doubled the damage though. Because you can auto crit at 20th level. So you can auto crit and then double that damage again. So that really is pretty cracked at 20th level.
Sure, that's four times. 4 times multiplier, which I just did a build recently around a character trying to get like a Grave Cleric plus Assassin Rogue. Trying to get up to that 4-timer.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know, at 20th level.
Yeah, you're right. It's 20th level.
And a con save.
How often are you up there? Yes, it is a con save, yeah.
I don't know.
And because it's only the first round, you can't do it multiple times to try and, it's not like it'll eventually hit. It's
maybe if they make their save, then they take, half of the extra damage or something. Like, it's 50% more damage. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's take a look at Swashbuckler.
Swashbuckler.
I'll take this one. So Panache has been redesigned to apply its effects through Cunning Strike. That seems fair enough. Dashing Strikes replace the Elegant Maneuver at 13th level to give you additional Cunning Strike options.
Okay.
So they're doing this thing where they build it all around the core features. And Master Duelist has been redesigned to allow you to make an additional attack, provided you meet the requirements. Okay. So the beginning is all the same.
Yeah, fancy footwork, rakish audacity, panache. Again, this is conceptually such a cool thing. Like, I've forever wanted to build like a rogue tank, right? That can like try and encourage enemies to attack them instead of their allies, and then you've got some defensive features built in there. But it's a 9th level feature. Like, I can't build around that, right? Like, it's just
no, I agree.
Okay, so new ways to use their sneak attack. Goad, they have to succeed on a wisdom save, or until the end of its next turn they have disadvantage on attack rolls again other than you, and can't make opportunity attacks. So yeah, great. And it's not charisma based, which is also nice because it's hard to work in a high charisma score, on a rogue. Even though the mustache twirling swashbuckler, is great. The musketeer, what's that play? that musical, the Pump Scarlet Pimpernel.
Oh yeah, Scarlet Pimpernel.
Anyway, that concept, right, is great, and you want them to be charismatic, but whatever. Anyway, it costs you a D6 now, and they get a wisdom save, and it's 9th level. So it's like, that's great, but am I like building this like able to take a punch rogue so that by the time the campaign is almost over, I get this thing where I can encourage my enemies to attack me?
You're right, and it's worth mentioning like that's kind of a problem with D&D design generally, is that the saving throws are not balanced against each other, but they are decided by what the effect is doing. So because you're trying to like frustrate someone, it's a wisdom save, but that doesn't mean that the ability is going to be great. It just means that it has to be a wisdom save because that's how it's done.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you must succeed on a wisdom save or have the charmed condition until the end of your next turn. Just charmed by itself doesn't do a lot in combat, right?
It's advantage on social interactions, pretty much.
Right. I think that I don't think they attack. I think that they don't attack you. Or they
can't target you specifically, but your allies
target your friends.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you are doing something to encourage them to attack you instead of your friends, or you get something that encourages them to attack anyone but you. Okay, like I can see how that's like, depending on the situation, I can do one of these things, and that's kind of nice. But it's hard to build around, I guess, and maybe that's my only complaint. It's just like, okay, that's kind of neat, but I don't know what else to do with it other than some occasional utility. I don't know.
No, I agree.
I like the swashbuckler in general, but it's because of their 3rd level features, not their 9th level ones.
Yeah. No, is this better than the old 9th level feature?
Probably, I think the old one was just like the disadvantage. It just happened automatically. The saving throw was based on your charisma. So like they got to save.
It does force you into charisma. This opens it up a bit more.
Yeah. And it didn't cost you sneak attack damage, but it was something that you did like when you hit them. I can't even remember because I was so frustrated by the ability that I just always went.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. It was. No, okay, so this is better because the old one you had to use an action to do it. So this is
so much better. Yeah.
Okay, Master Duelist is pretty much the same. When you use your sneak attack, you can make another attack against the same target, provided you're within 5 feet of it, and no other creatures are within 5 feet of you. Okay,
and that's not bad. But actually, let's check dashing strikes because this is new ways to use your sneak attack. Now among your cunning strike options, parrying stance, cost 2d6, roll a d6 until the start of your next turn. You gain a bonus to your AC equal to the number rolled. So it's sort of that's your swords bard. Yeah. But it's only a d6. Still potentially nice. Invigorate, choose a creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself until the end of that creature's next turn. Whenever it makes an attack roll or saving throw, it can roll a d6 and add the number rolled to the attack roll or saving throw. Wow, that's like a mini bless.
Yeah.
But a d6, it only lasts for a round, but until the end of their next turn. Okay, well, you're doing it on your turn, so on their turn they'll get an extra d6. I mean, that's some nice buff for somebody.
Yeah, it's worth trading 2d6 damage if they hit instead, right? They'll do more than 2d6, presumably. So probably is worth it. But of course, if they miss anyway, it's going to feel bad.
This feels to me like the rogue is being moved maybe even more into you're not actually like a damage dealer on par with the real damage dealers. You do some damage, but you bring utility and support with you.
Yeah, I agree. With the blinding and the knocking people prone, it's a support. It's actually a much more support class now.
Right. And I don't know that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's great to have a rogue in your party. You need somebody out there looking for traps and picking locks and stuff. And maybe you weren't ever supposed to be doing as much damage as a fighter or a barbarian or whatever, right? But I still want them to. And maybe and maybe that's something that I just need to get over.
No, you're right though. It's no, because it's worth remembering that this rogue might be like, okay, it's worse than the fighter and barbarian that we know, but they've made it better at other stuff. But at the same time, they've also made the fighter and the barbarian better. So right. if you upgrade them both at the same rate, the rogue is still going to be worse. So maybe the rogue does need a little bit of extra help.
And arguably, they're all still worse than full casters.
Oh yeah. There's I've seen nothing that makes me think this is they finally closed that gap. No, you have to go to third party to get that level of
maybe.
But maybe they've still got time. They've still got time.
Yeah. Okay. Thief.
Last one, Thief. Let's see what's in the grey box. You've got Fast Hands now lets you take the use an object action instead of the search action. Oh, okay. And it also lets you use the magic action to activate a magic item. That is huge.
Okay.
Wand of Magic Missiles as a bonus action.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's huge on its own.
Yeah.
Okay. Second story work now lets you move along ceilings without an ability check and causes you to use your dexterity, not strength, for jumping. That's very cool. I've seen that a lot in a lot of
along ceilings.
So I guess
that is some intense
monkey bars your way.
Yeah,
that's across Spider-Man.
That guy's got some serious. I mean, I'm just thinking of just like a cement ceiling. That guy's got that's magical to me. That's more
full
than
on.
Just...
Yeah, you're right. That is full on Spider-Man. If it's like a solid thing. And then Supreme Sneak, you can sacrifice a sneak attack die to remain hidden when you attack. Only one sneak attack die. Probably worth it, actually, because that would let you, remain if you're hidden. Yeah. And then Thief's Reflexes is what it was before. Okay.
I like this because the Thief was not a very good subclass previously. It didn't bring a lot mechanically anyway to the table, I don't think.
It was iffy, for sure.
So yeah, you can use an object, so you can still use that healer's kit.
But the real thing is the magic item.
Yeah.
That will get the better the magic item you have, the increasingly busted this becomes, right? To the point where some magic items as a bonus action is crazy good. So.
Yeah. And then second story work, climb speed equal to your speed. Nice. And then along ceilings.
But there has to be at least one handhold during the move.
Okay. And that's fair.
Your DM should help you out with that if you say, look, I want to be a thief. Monkey bars in around. Yeah.
Let me be a thief and feel cool.
Throw a monkey, throw like a gargoyle or something in every place, and you're fine.
Oh, and you get to jump with your dex instead of your strength. That's good too. I mean, for the times when you need to jump, which are not very.
When does that happen? Maybe once a campaign. But it is nice.
Supreme Sneak. Okay, so stealth attack cost 1d6. If you have the hide action's invisible condition. This attack doesn't end that condition on you if you end the turn behind 3/4 cover or total cover. Okay. So there's still some qualifiers there. You can't just run out into the open and attack somebody and remain hidden.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I read it. I was like, wow, this is really good. But it does let you flip out, shoot someone, flip back behind cover.
Yeah, or even jump out, stab somebody, and
then cunning action, disengage.
Exactly. So definitely some hit and run tactics there. Okay, use magic device. We already had some nice use magic device. What else do we got?
You can attune up to 4 magic items at once.
That alone is really strong.
Yeah. How many times are you doing a build and you're like, if I could just squeeze one more in?
So often.
And then whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges, roll a d6. On a roll of a 6, you use the property without expending the charges. Okay, pretty good. So again, I'm thinking of
Wand of Magic Missiles.
Wands of magic missiles, wands of fireballs. Scrolls, you can use any spell scroll, using intelligence as your spellcasting ability for the spell. If it's a cantrip or a first level spell, you cast it reliably. If the spell contains a higher level spell, you must succeed on an intelligence arcana check with a DC equal to 10 plus the spell's level. Okay. On a successful check, you cast the spell from the spell scroll.
Hold on, Will. Sorry, my earbuds have died again. I gotta get the wired headphones. I'll be right back. Okay, talk.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, nice. You don't need to cut it out if you don't want to. I kind of kept the flow going. We were talking about the rogue. So I think there's content there. I mean, maybe people will disagree.
Let's just roll with it.
Yeah. Colby's given up his holiday for this. I don't want to, but I did my best. I kept some hooks, man. I kept some. I drew them in.
Tell me what you. Give me a quick recap of what you said, so
pretty
I can
much
disagree
just
with all of it.
Yeah, with the rogue's reliable talent and expertise in Arcana, which you would have by level 13, you will never fail. You will never fail that trick. You will never fail your spell scroll Arcana check. So
okay.
You can cast a 9th level spell if you have such a spell scroll at this level, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
You just need to find a way to get a hold of one, of course.
Yeah.
And I think that's basically it, because thief reflex is in the same.
First round of any combat. Yeah, and especially, well, never mind. You can't couple that with assassin feature because you're not an assassin. You're a thief.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay.
But still, two turns is legit, right? 2 turns is big.
Yeah, it's action surge.
You could combo it with the bugbear, which is before they make their move. Is that right? Yeah, it's on the first round. So
that's assuming that they don't nerf the bugbear.
Yes, which they probably will.
But it's backwards compatible. So
yeah, you can pick the old bugbear. So whatever they do, they can't stop us. They'll try. All
right.
Yeah, I think we got there, man.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts on the rogue. I prefer it. I think I prefer it. Seriously. My biggest problem was that they took away the sneak attack on other people's turns and they put it back, which is great. They tried it. Like I say, I don't begrudge them for trying crazy things. I'm just, as long as they listen and put them back, right? You know. Yeah. What do you think?
I have mixed feelings. I like that there's more options and that they're really leaning into like the roguishness of rogues. That's cool. I think it's interesting approaching sneak attack dice as a resource to kind of use and take advantage of those options. I still, there's a part of me, and this, to be fair, may come from the fact that for 5 years or so, I was like a 25-hour-a-week World of Warcraft rogue player.
Nice, yeah.
And I always wanted to be top in the damage charts, right? Which will surprise nobody who has watched more than 5 minutes of any of my videos, probably. Actually, I actually did more PvP in World of Warcraft than anything. I was an arena and battlegrounds player. But anyway, so yeah, like there's this part of me that wants, like, I love the idea of a character who does a ton of damage, not because they're big and burly and they're swinging the biggest sword, but because they are hitting their target where they least expect it, and they're putting that dagger just in the exact right spot, you know, right in the kidney or whatever, to do the most damage. And it makes me sad when I feel like I can't have that. I'm sneaky, I'm stealthy, I'm disarming traps and picking locks and scouting ahead for my party concept and big damage too. And it feels, and now some people are going to be like, rogues do fine, their damage is fine. They're really not. Like, not if you're optimizing your character, right, and comparing them then to a character who's built for big damage. Yeah. There are exceptions, of course, right? And especially, I'm glad that they brought sneak attack on as a reaction back, and sneak attack can crit. Like, those things help to not, you know, take away from kind of the little bit of damage that I can do. But I kind of feel like they need extra attack if they're going to be doing these things. I mean, an extra attack doesn't do a ton, right? We're talking a D8 plus an ability modifier. We don't generally have a lot of spells. We can only use sneak attack once per turn. I mean, it wouldn't be giving them a ton to give them extra attack.
Maybe what they want is sort of like a Blade Singer Wizard equivalent, where there's a subclass that gives them that extra attack.
Sure.
Maybe that's and then you can have that. Maybe that's all we really, maybe that would solve a lot of the. If you give them one subclass which fulfills that desire for that type of build,
yes,
maybe that's all they need.
It should be the swashbuckler, and they need to get it before level 9.
Yes, that is the real problem. You can't really give them extra attack because you can't give it a level 3.
Yeah,
and level 9 is way too late. So yeah. That's something I think is an area that I understand why they've done this backwards compatibility thing, but I think the rogue is maybe the one subclass that really their level progression is not great.
The
their
subclass progression is painful.
It's why rogues all feel the same. That's what people say. All rogues feel the same. It's because you get one subclass feature for 90% of the game.
Right.
Most games finish at level 11-ish.
Now, to be fair, one way they could solve that would be to create more content for high-level play and maybe do a little better job of making the game a little easier to balance at high-level play. And maybe they're trying to do that. Maybe that's what some of these changes are looking towards.
We run into that situation where we have to judge on what we can see, not what we don't know their minds. And they haven't told us what they're actually. They don't tell you in advance what we're planning to do.
Right.
Which they should, but they don't. So we just have to guess. So if you're feeling generous, you can say, "Don't worry, all of this stuff will be fixed when they do everything else."
And I'm actually surprised to hear all of this pessimism coming out of me because I'm usually that guy. I'm usually like, "Hey man, this is just Unearthed Arcana. It's gonna be okay." Like I'm usually given the benefit of the doubt, and I like to think that they'll get things right. They'll fix things. I mean. We've seen some changes. They're listening to the feedback, with the druid, for example, and making some positive changes. But again, it feels like the casters are better. Casters are better.
and it's difficult as well because I wonder if the feedback is going to get less and less valuable if they keep dropping Unearthed Arcana in 77-page documents.
Right.
Because who has time to read through all of this and actually playtest it? Right.
I mean, we haven't even gone down into
we haven't touched on any of the spells. We didn't touch on the monk. We skipped a bunch of subclasses, and this is our job, and much more.
And I'm on vacation.
Yeah, you're on vacation, right? But it's the psychology of this as well. It's like you present an average player with a 77-page document, they're not gonna be excited to read that. I don't think that's like do you want to read this or Jane Eyre, and it's like, no, I'd rather read, a stunning work of literature.
Brandon Sanders.
It's like, why? But we'll see. I worry that these big and people call me an idiot. It's like, what? You can't be bothered to read One Unearthed Arcana? No, I can. I just worry that your typical person with a real job and a real life is not like me. They're going to be busy. They're not going to be motivated to read all of this. So I'd rather see much smaller ones.
Sure.
Which might even give the design team a bit more time on each one. But of course, they have their deadlines, and they've chosen those deadlines, and
they want to get this out in 2024.
Yeah. And at that point, it comes down to, have they set a deadline and they're keeping to it, even if it means the release is worse? Maybe they'd rather get it out in 2024, and if it's a bit worse than it would have been, sure. Stuff
hopefully
happens.
not.
Hopefully not, though. I'm feeling pretty good on it. Like I say, I think this is the best one we've ever seen. I respect the level of work that's gone into this.
And despite my whining, like, I do appreciate like the effort to introduce interesting gameplay choices, right? With the Paladin, with the Rogue especially, I think those two. Smiting now, well, I can do different things with my smites. It's not just add more damage, right? Sneak attack now, do you want to like do some different things with your sneak attack that might provide a nice debuff for the rest of your team? And that's the other thing, right, that I'm not saying is like, this is a game not played in a vacuum. This is a game played with 3 or 4 or 5 of your friends. And, the most successful teams, tactically anyway, are ones that are going to not just be like, I do lots of damage. All 5 of us do lots of damage. Go, you know what I mean? It's like, no, like I'm going to blind them. Okay, great. I'm going to trip them. And now we all have advantage on our attacks and they have disadvantage on theirs. And you're casting this spell to control, that half of the battlefield. And while we, work on these guys, I mean, and it might potentially lead to more fun and interesting combat encounters. And if that's what happens at the end of the day, then hey, I'm all for it. I just want my rogue to hit a little harder.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a fair point, right? And I think there's room there. They can do that stuff. So we'll see what they come up with.
Yeah.
And yeah, as always, it's awesome to be on here with you, man. If anyone hasn't subscribed, subscribe now. If you came across
and if for some strange reason you have not subscribed to D&D Shorts, please go over and do so, because Will's a great guy and he creates fantastic content.
It's like I say, it's always a pleasure to hang out with Colby as well, and I get to hang out even after the recording ends. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of Gen Con, you're going.
Oh yeah, we'll both be at Gen Con.
We're gonna hang out at Gen
Come
Con
down to Gen Con, you guys.
In real life.
That would be awesome. We'll get in a game for sure somewhere along the line, which is going to be sweet. Yeah, absolutely. That's it's pretty much a month away.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yeah, it's on the 3rd. So yeah, a month and a week. All right. Yeah, I'll see you there, and hopefully anyone watching in America, I'll see you there at Gen Con too.
That's right.
Yeah, all right. I'll leave you to take it home, bro.
Thanks, man. That was great. Thanks, everybody. Love you guys. Appreciate you watching, and yeah, be good. Be safe, and hopefully see you soon.
See you soon.
Okay. I'm not going to read the monk. It's very
I know
hard.
it's tempting.
The martial arts die starts at a D6. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.